Hey everybody, I hope all is going well and that you're enjoying your accidental early spring break. But just in case you're looking for something to do, here is an activity that you can do at your house. And when you are done, if you decide you want to share what you did with me, you can take a picture of it and send it to me, or you can just bring it back to school when we get back to school and you can show me the things you do. This is my first little video, but I'm going to do one every day, Monday through Friday, except for the actual spring break where we're all going to be on spring break. But for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to have a little video here with an activity you could do. Alright, so today's activity is an interview. You are going to interview someone in your family. Interview means you're going to ask them some questions and you're going to write down their answers, and then you're going to write a little story or a little essay about their answers and draw a picture of them. So the person you interview has to be a grown-up. It can't be a kid. It does not have to be a grown-up who lives in your house right now. It can be someone who you call on the phone and you can interview them over the phone. Make sure you remember their answers. You can write down their answers really quickly if that helps you, or you can just try to remember the answers in your brain so that you can write about them later. But don't try to write their whole story while you're interviewing them, because then they have to sit there and wait for you to write everything down, and that could take a long time. Okay, so you're going to find a grown-up in your family and you are going to ask them 3 questions. The first question you have to ask them is, what was something you loved to do when you were a kid? The second question you have to ask them is, what is something you didn't like to do when you were a kid? And the third question you have to ask them is, what is something you wish you got to do when you were a kid, but you never got to do it? So those are the 3 questions. Once you have the answer to those 3 questions, you have to write down those answers and then draw a picture of the person who you interviewed. There's 2 ways you could write down the answers. There's the fast, simple, and not so interesting way, or there's the longer, takes a long time, but sounds and looks much better way. So the fast and simple way would be just to write down what they said for their answer and just to leave it at that. I asked my mom these questions. For the first question, what she loved to do when she was a kid, she said climbing trees. For the second question, what was something she didn't like to do when she was a kid, she said clean her room. And for the third question, she didn't have an answer. She couldn't think of anything that she wished she got to do when she was a kid. So the most boring way I could write those things down is I could just write the answers. I could say climbing trees, cleaning your room, nothing. And then I could draw a picture, and that would be the end of that story. But it would be much more interesting to turn it into a story like we do in our classroom, with the beginning and a middle and an ending, where you put one of our beginnings, like a question or some kind of generalization, at the beginning of the story, and then you write the 3 answers that they gave you, and you make it sound good with good word choices, and then you put some kind of an ending on it. So for my mom, I could say something like, I just learned that my mom liked to do something that I like to do too. She said that when she was a kid, she loved climbing trees, and I loved climbing trees when I was a kid. I still do like climbing trees. One thing she said she didn't like doing when she was a kid was cleaning her room. I didn't like doing that when I was a kid either. I still don't like doing that. And here's a cool thing. She couldn't think of anything she wished she'd been able to do when she was a kid. Sounds like she was a pretty happy kid. Alright, well, that's the end of my story. I'm going to go climb a tree now. So that would be a much more interesting way to write down your story. So, that is your project for today. Find a grown-up in your family, either in your house or somewhere where you can call them. Ask them these 3 questions, and then write down those answers, either the very simple way that's very quick, and then you'll just be bored again, or you can write them down the long way in a cool sounding story. Make sure you draw a picture of them too, And if you can find a way to share it with me, please do.